Hello and welcome to another video. In today's video we're going to show how to go ahead and download VirtualBox and then install the Windows 10 that you downloaded on the previous video onto your Macintosh computer. So let's begin. We'll go ahead and just open the browser of your choice. I'll be using Safari as most Macs will come standard with Safari. And then you could just Google for VirtualBox. And in here you go, VirtualBox. It is an Oracle product. It's very safe. It's used a lot. You would then come to this site here, click on the downloads, and then you would go SOX host, which that's the Mac operating system. You then download it. Which will show here as downloading. It's very quick. It's not a big program. You would then open it up and begin the installation. All right, once the program executes, this is the box that you'll see. You will be first clicking on this box, step number 1. Which will then open the installer package. Depending on your computer, this could take a little bit more or go a little bit faster depending on the speed. Okay, basically now the computer is going to ask you for permission to determine if this software can be installed. You're going to go ahead and click continue. Continue again. You can change the location of the files. I like to leave it standard. Then it would go ahead and ask you for the password of the computer. Again, this installation can take different amounts of time depending on how fast your Mac is. All right. Once that's done, you can move the installer program to the trash. That way you save space on your computer. And then once this part is done, you could just click on applications, move on to the second part, and you would then look and load VirtualBox. All right. Basically now this is the main screen in VirtualBox. VirtualBox, you can host many different types of systems, so it's basically empty. So we have to go and say new. Okay. Now what do we want it to be? Or what is it going to be? In the example before, we downloaded Windows 10. So you can just call it Windows 10, or that name you can choose whatever you want. Microsoft Windows would be in the type. Version, you would go to 1064-bit. Or if you got the 32-bit, the 32-bit. I suggest the 64-bit as it will run better. We'll then click on continue. Here's a option for the amount of virtual memory you would use. My recommendation is, see this number here? That is how much memory your computer has. My recommendation is to use half. So if here it starts with a 4, instead of 16, 4,384, that means you have 4 gigs of memory. If it's an 8, it's 8, and so on. I suggest using half the memory. This will give you a better experience on the Windows side. So we're going to go ahead and bring this up to 8, and then we'll click on continue. All right. Now you need to create a virtual disk size. Do not add a virtual hard disk. No. You would want to create on this one that says create a virtual hard disk now. You would go ahead and click create. On the type of disk, I recommend VDI as this works better for VirtualBox. Go ahead and click continue, and then dynamically allocated. I prefer that because what that allows you to do is if you pick, let's say 100 gigs or 200 gigs for your Windows drive, that space is not used until you actually use it. Where if you click fixed size, it's going to reserve that space. So if you later need that space for your Macintosh stuff, you won't have it available. Whereas a dynamic drive only will use the space as it's actually being used by the Windows. So this basically allows you to pick the size of the drive. It all depends on how much space you have available. I recommend if you have the space to use 100 gigs. This will give you plenty of room to install not only the actual Windows software and any other softwares that you need for class, but also allow you to install the full Microsoft Office package so you can able to do work on the PC side as well. Go ahead and click create. And this basically now, this are your settings for your system. Basically here it says the amount of memory, the type of graphics drivers and that it'll be using, etc. So now what we have to do is the system is powered off. Basically, it's like a computer inside a computer. So we're going to go ahead and click on this to start it. You'll notice this jumping little box will come up, and then basically it's telling you that the computer's empty. There's nothing there, right? So we'll go ahead and basically click on, let me show you that again, sorry. Click on this little folder, okay? And that's basically kind of like putting the CD into the box, the VirtualBox. So you got to remember where you downloaded the Microsoft Windows, most likely in your downloads folder. And there it is, Win 10-1703. Your number might be a little bit differently depending on when you download it. That's just the version and the updates. So you'll go ahead and click on that folder, click open. And then here you would click start. This will start your VirtualBox. Basically, it's starting up the computer and loading that Windows disk. So from now on, we're basically going through the regular standard procedures on how to install Windows, like if we were doing it on a Windows machine. So go ahead, answer these questions. Most likely, these will be the default settings and the settings that you will keep. Then you would go ahead and click Install Now, and it's going to start the setup process. There will be a few questions along the way. I'll make sure to help you out with those. The process will be determined on how fast your computer is. So there will be times where I'll be pausing the video and then resuming it once to ask the next question. So basically here is the license agreement. You would need to agree to these terms before installing the software. Once you have read this or agree to it, you can go ahead and click on this checkbox and then proceed with the next button. All right, this one's really important because it kind of defaults to upgrade, and you don't want to do that because there is no current Windows on your system. So you need to do a custom install option. And then you go ahead and see the drive that you made depending on the size that you made it. So then you go ahead and click next, and it will start installing Windows on that drive. This part here can take a while. And again, like I've said in the past, it's based on the speed of your system. So I'm going to go ahead and pause the video for a little bit, and I'll be back later to see how it's going. All right, we're back.
Your region is set to the United States.
You can
Is that right?
She can basically pick, she speaks to you, helps you go through the process, but we'll help. So United States, most likely you'll be picking, and be going on to the next steps from here.
Your keyboard is set to US 1. Do you also type with another key?
Again, those are options that you have. Most likely
All
you'll
right,
be going through the
you're
standard
connected.
settings.
Now, we'll check for any updates. Found some. Hang tight while we get them installed. Don't turn off your device, please. It'll mess things up.
So like you heard,
Done and done. You're up to date.
Very important to not turn off the computer during these processes because it is
Your
possible
computer will restart and keep updating.
to mess up the settings. So like you said, like you heard, the computer is going to restart a bunch of times during this process, and it's going to be also downloading updates from the internet. So make sure that you are connected to the internet before starting these processes. All right, basically your computer will actually never turn off, your physical computer, but when you saw that box screen come up, that's technically the virtual computer inside your computer that we're installing has restarted, and then it is basically loading up again. So when you see that virtual screen, that basically means that your computer did do a reboot. Or maybe not your computer, but your virtual computer. So it's a little confusing. We'll refer to your computer as your computer and the virtual computer that we're installing as the virtual computer, just to make it a little bit easier from now on. But we've gotten through the hardest parts, so basically now it's just going to be a little bit of a waiting game as Windows continues to set itself up.
Go ahead and follow the instructions to get this PC set up with the info from your work or school, and I'll meet you back here when that's done.
So here you have a choice. You can sign in with an Office 365 account to make it easier for if you're planning on using it for email. But since it's a virtual machine and most likely you're going to continue to use your current setup for most of your email and your rest of your stuff, I'll just click on Domain Join instead, which will let you just assign
Type what you want to name your account.
A basic name for the account, and then you can continue that way.
Okay,
Password,
now type a password for your account.
You can choose a password. In this case, I'm just going to leave it blank and move on to the next step. Like I said earlier in the video, all these processes will be determined the speed.
Hey, look! It's the me part of setup. Can I have permission to use the info I need to do my best work?
How fast your computer is. So here you can choose if you want to use Cortana or not. I'll just go ahead and click yes, and we'll move forward from there.
These are the settings Microsoft recommends. Go ahead and review them, and select accept when you're ready.
These are settings, like they said, privacy settings. I'm going to leave them by the default. You can take your time and read these and choose whether or not you would like to use any of these. All right, so we're going to be waiting a lot, just a moment it says, but again, determine on your speed of your computer and how much memory you've allocated it to the virtual part. So we're going to move forward here.
Okay, that's the last step. We need to get a few more things polished up for you, and Windows will be all yours. Looking forward to helping out.
All right, we're almost done. It's basically just doing some final updates. These don't take that long depending on your internet connection, but we'll keep plugging away. And basically, you have Windows now installed on your computer. I'll make another video on how to install certain programs that your professor has required you to get. And from there, it's basically just your new Windows computer running from your Mac. All right, looks like mostly it's ready to go. And that is it. It is basically official. You now have a Windows computer on your Mac computer. Well, that's about it. It looks like your Windows is completely installed. I'm going to go ahead and show you how to do two quick more things, and then we'll be done with this video. So if you look here, you have the Start button. Go ahead and click on that, and then here's your Power button. Go ahead and click Shutdown. This will turn off the virtual machine, and then I'm going to show you how to bring it back up, because it's not any of use if you can't get back into it. So teach you how to do that, and we're going to go ahead and close this option out, and go ahead and close this option out. So if you go to your applications, you're going to notice that you have the virtual machine software here. So let's look to see where it got installed. VirtualBox. There it is. So go ahead and click on VirtualBox. This will bring up your machines. You can have more than one machine if you'd like of Windows or other OSs, or if you're doing different testing, you can put a different machine. But for this simple process, we're just going to show the one machine. So in order to bring this back up, you just basically have to click on it, and it will load up, asking you if you want to switch into a full window. I like full screen. You don't have to do that. So go ahead and switch to full screen, and the VirtualBox will start to load, and you're off and running. It's basically, that's just like turning on your computer. A few more steps than just a power button, but it gets the job done. All right, go ahead and shut down this VirtualBox, and we'll go ahead and end this video. Hope this was helpful, and I'll try to make some other videos on how to install programs onto your VirtualBox Windows machine in the near future. Thank you so much.